And we are off to the Barossa Valley in the morning with a little bit of a difference. We've hired an electric Tesla Model 3 for our first foray into electric car driving. So I'm going to do two stories, one on what it's like to hire an electric car, and the second one will be on the Barossa Valley itself. So I will see you in the morning. An update on the electric car. Hertz have just sent me a link to do all of the check-in electronically, so I don't have to worry too much about anything when I get to the airport tomorrow morning. So hopefully it all goes very smoothly. All right, here we are in Adelaide at the Hertz depot, and we're now sitting in our Tesla Model 3. And we're now got to figure out how to get it working. What do you think so far, Linda?
It's very comfortable. It looks weird because there's nothing.
Yeah.
So this is Ray being yelled at by the car for not holding onto the steering wheel.
Didn't like me. Turn it back on again. Come on. Doesn't like me. So we've been driving now for about 30-40 minutes. It's incredibly smooth, quiet. The only noise you have is outside the car. There's no vibration, there's no engine noise, of course. So the initial driving is very impressive. Acceleration is amazing. It just goes. Regenerative braking is weird. It takes a while to get used to that. The car just slows down itself. Yeah, I think it's. I'm very impressed. Much more impressed than I thought I would be. So we'll catch up again when we get to the Barossa Valley, and I'll give you a bit more of a review of the inside of the car. We've arrived at Jacobs Creek, where we're staying for the next 2 nights, and I'm just playing around with the controls because, to be honest, I have really no idea what I'm doing. Apart from a few minutes at the airport to set up the mirrors, I don't really know much about the way around the car, but I do know I can open up the bonnet. Oh, that's the boot. Oh, there's the bonnet there. There you go. So the front and the back are open. I can lock the car from here. That's the charging port, which just opened. So I'm in the charging tab, and it shows me I've got 293 kilometers of range left. It also shows you up here on the battery symbol, which is there all the time when you're driving. But if I touch that, it changes to percentage, but I'd rather know the distance. Change back. Go back to car again and to charging. So the actual working around the car, it all seems pretty straightforward. Navigation, you put in where you want to go. Trips, so you can actually these are the distance trips. Current trip. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in here that you got to work your way through. I guess it all seems relatively straightforward. Charging, pedal and steering, this is where you work out what steering mode you want, how sensitive you want the steering to be, whether you want it to creep, roll or hold, which is your your regenerative braking, acceleration, it's on standard. So it's all pretty straightforward. On these controls you got your headlights on auto, your mirrors do that and they fold in, and push it again and they fold out. You got child lock, window lock. If you want to undo the glove box, you push this button here, voila, glove box opened. So it's all relatively intuitive. If I want to adjust the mirrors, I hit that and I've got left and right, and I use the left here, what you call a wheel. So if it's on left, so if I go over here, I can make the mirrors go up and down. There's Linda over there. And I can do the same with the right. I can use the left hand one as well. I save that setting. It's all pretty straightforward. Now if I want to adjust the steering wheel, I do the same thing. Again, you need the left wheel, and I wind that up and down. If I want it to go in, I roll it that way. If I want it to go out, it's all pretty straightforward. So yeah, it's surprisingly easy to operate. The only one thing I will say is I'm not a fan of no heads-up display. I'm used to a car where you have the speed and your navigation at eyes line, so you don't have to turn to look at your speed. But on this car, when you're driving, you get your speed coming up over here, which I can show you when we're driving. But I just find I'm used to a heads-up display. That's the only thing that really does concern me. Otherwise, you got your phone charging, which is you just basically put your phone on it and it charges. You got a huge storage bin here, which you can close, nice and simple, and it locks open. You've got 2 cup holders, and then underneath the armrest you've got loads of storage as well, which is really good. Fit and finish. Look, there's been a lot of stories about Tesla in the early days were rubbish. Materials feel quite good. To be honest, it's not up to Mercedes standard, which is what we're used to, but I have to say I am actually quite impressed. It's better than I thought. Yeah, overall very impressed. I do like the skylight. It's massive, and it does give the car a sense of space, which is cool. Legroom. So the car is set up for my driving position, and yeah, that's pretty much where I drive. So I'm going to now look at the legroom in the rear of this car. Get the Hertz badge out of the way. Okay, knees up, Mother Brown. There's not a lot of legroom. Yeah. So if I was driving for quite a while, I would find this a little bit cramped, so I'd need to push the seat forward a bit. But of course, if you're in the passenger seat, you could easily make a lot of room. So the seats feel quite comfortable. Headroom is great. There's tons of headroom, so there's no issue there. I would just say that the space in the rear is a little bit cramped, but fine for kids. But for adults, you'd probably struggle a bit on a long trip. So one thing I find annoying is the sensor to unlock the car isn't on both sides of the car. You've actually got to use only the driver's side, so that will lock the car. Yeah, I see that is a bit of an annoying feature. It's all very quiet, Linda. Up and down.
Oh, there's a bee. There's a bee. Just don't let it get in the car. Just in the window.
Oh look, there's a bee. Behave, I say. I just got squashed, it's not going anyway. It's now mid-speed. Alright, so we can tell 0 speed, we're in drive because it's got a D there. And off I go. By simply touching the throttle and we're turning left. No one coming, so it's good. And off we go up to Narayupta for some brunch. Still don't like the fact that the speed is on the top of that screen, not on a heads-up display. Bit of a dip. Take my foot off the throttle and it slows down automatically. You know, one thing that is really impressive is there's no rattles in the car on a gravel road. Nice and quiet. So it's clearly put together much better than the early models.
In 300 metres, turn left onto Koch Road.
Got it. And the GPS is huge. Although the car doesn't seem to know what it's doing on the dirt road, it can't figure out what lane we're in.
Now turn left onto Koch Road.
And when you turn your indicator on, the camera comes on that side of the car so you can see behind you. Not really sure why if you've got all this other technology, but here we go. Train line ahead. And off we go. Acceleration is very smooth and potent, I'd say. Potent. It's like driving a V8 without the noise. Block car. Now, time for brunch. Here we go. Now here's a great situation. I've got a Tesla Model 3 sitting there. It could do with a bit of a top-up. And here's a Tesla charging point, but it's disabled, so I can't use it. That's a little weird. So I've just learned how to find a charger. You simply push the little charge button here. Oops, push it again, and it brings up your charges, and you can see the kilowatt hour rate. And we want to go to 14.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and do some wine tasting and charge the car at the same time. Too easy. The GPS is taking us to a winery where we can charge the car at 22 kilowatts, which is probably not earth-shattering, but it's better than nothing. So you can see it's tracking us. I'm doing, oops, I'm speeding, I better slow down. Okay, 45. I still find this speed indicator on the screen somewhat disconcerting. I'd really like a heads-up display. We're about to change to 80. Maybe accelerate. Whoa, that is fast.
So pretty.
Reminds me of the rolling hills around Champagne.
And I was thinking that as well. And I think also because of the time of year that we were there, it's the same kind of season with all the leaves changing.
Yeah. So we've just arrived at the winery and I've plugged the charging cable in and it's charging. Oh look, you can see the rate of charge here. 82 kilometers an hour. It's going to take a while. It's only 22 kilowatt hour charging, but it's working. 2 hours 55 minutes remaining. That's a lot of wine tasting. Perhaps we'll just give it a top up, but the fact is it's free and it's there and we're using it. Awesome. Now let's go do some wine tasting at this beautiful chalet. Now that I've got the charging cable in, you can't actually pull it out. I don't know how we get that out. I'll point that out in a minute. It's charging away. We only went wine tasting so we could charge the car. We didn't really enjoy that at all, did we?
No.
Yeah. We ended up sending a carton back
We
home.
loved
but
it.
It was lovely. Now we've got to work out how to unlock the car. It's still charging. You can see it's still charging over there. Let's unlock the car. It's starting to rain. Now we've got to work out how to unlock the charging port. Come in here. And the charge cable connected to vehicle. We know that. Do I do that? What do I do? Ah, maybe that's it. Disconnect. Oh, maybe it was locked. Oh, I get it. It was locked because the car was locked. Now I've unlocked the car. I should be able to disconnect it. Oh, there you go. It's unlocked. So when you lock the car, it locks the cable so people can't disconnect it. And the window is closed automatically. That's awesome. It's actually really clever. And back into the car we go. Now let's have a look. We've got 346 kilometres of range. So it went up 120 kilometres while we were wine tasting. That's a very productive wine tasting, right, say, Linda?
We're going to 94. Stetzler.
There it is.
Is that right?
It's
Yeah,
good.
okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Park in there seems a reasonable thing to do. Beautiful. Parking is easy. You literally push P and you're parked. And we open the door. And that is it. It's very simple. And we are done. Let's do some more wine tasting. Back in the car we go. Let me open up my front because I've got a great idea. I'm going to put my wine in my trunk, whatever the hell you want to call it, because it's not going to rattle around so much. There you go. Now I just need to put my coat in there so it doesn't move, and that can be my wine storage area. And we're going to put more wine in the bonnet, trunk. There we go. Our new wine storage area. And it's closed. So when I picked up the car from Hertz yesterday, they told me that the key had to stay here on the console, which I found to be bullshit because I've got it in my pocket now and the car works just fine, so I don't think she knew what she was talking about.
So it could just be in your wallet.
Correct. Yeah. I'm just gonna come out here. Car come in. One of the things I just discovered is you can see the indicators up here, speed, what we're in drive. This line here, when I'm driving, you'll see it change because I'm gonna put my foot down in a second when I come out onto the road, and you watch that line grow as we put the power
In
up.
300 metres, turn left
Now,
onto
you'll
Melbourne
see it's
Road.
gone green because I'm totally on regen braking now. The car's slowing down and regenerating the brakes. So as I drive conservatively, you'll see that line will just kind of stay small.
Now turn left onto Melbourne Road.
And that means that the smaller that line, the less power you're using. So as I accelerate again, you'll see it go up. And as I take my foot off and regen, it goes green. So I'll just kind of maintain a steady speed, and you'll see just a small line, which means I'm a conservative driver. Except when I do that. And I'm not. actually very good once you understand all that's going on around you. It's actually quite intuitive and easy to understand. It just takes a while because it's so different to a normal car. So what I've learned is when you unlock the car, the ignition is automatically unlocked, but that only remains for a short period of time. And then if you just leave the car unlocked, the ignition will relock itself. So when you come back to the car and you get this message, it means that you have to re-unlock the ignition, which means you put your key on the console, put your foot on the brake, and it unlocks the ignition again. Interesting. So now I'm putting it back, the key, or whatever you want to call it, tab, fob, back in my pocket, and it's okay. We're leaving the Barossa now. We're heading south-east down to Hindorf, which is just east of the Adelaide Hills for brunch. And then we're going to go down into the Adelaide Hills, which is a mere 15 kilometres away to spend the night. And let's slow down to 60 here because I don't want to get booked. We've already gone past one speed camera this morning and they don't look very friendly. Righto, we made it to Hindorf. Navigate. Mount Barker. How far is it? Instructions, 8.2 kilometres, we've got 168, good to go. So where we're staying here at Squally, which is part of Mount Lofty House, okay, lets me out, cool, automatically. So I've now got to go to their Tesla charger. Fortunately, they have one here. Unfortunately, it's not in a very convenient location, so I've got to exit the car park and drive around, kind of on the way out. To the lower car park, which I think it's down here. Oh, it's in there. There it is. It's the right way. It's in here. Now I've got to go here and you can see it over there, the Tesla charger, so I'm going to reverse in. Pop it into reverse, get the camera working there. Oh, there's two. This is good news. Let's get over there nice and close. Okay, so I'm going to park the car here and charge it. Okay, I must remember I've got to pop the charging port. Hopefully that opened it. Oh look, it opened it. It's good. So I get my Tesla charger out and I plug it in and that's charging. Alrighty. That's a look, that one's a Porsche charger. Nice. Alright, so let's get back in the car for a second. Okay, so here we go, we're charging. Here's the kilometres going up, 7 kilometres an hour, 8 kilometres an hour. It's going to take 4 hours and 30 minutes to do the full charge on the car. We only really need probably an hour, but I'll just leave it there for a while and come back and grab it. So here's part of the problem I see with owning an electric car. This is the Tesla charger. There's only one, so if there was a Tesla already here charging, I'd be screwed. But now I've got to walk all the way back up here to the resort to get to the room. Wow, it's dark. It's 5:35 in the, I guess, evening, early evening. Car's been on the charger for 3 hours, so it should be charged enough to drop off at the airport in the morning. But this is part of the problem. I've got to walk, it's pouring with rain. I've got to walk down to get the car, to bring it back to the car park, to park it ready to get ready for dinner. And this is really inconvenient. if we had lots of superchargers where you could go in and plug the car in quickly and charge it up in 15 minutes, it would make so much more sense. But these local chargers are just a pain in the ass. This car's still there, it's a good sign. So they're going to unlock it. The wind is trying to take my umbrella, so I'm going to have to turn off the video for a second. Alright, so this is the update at the moment. The car is now at 5:47 after 3 and a bit hours. It's at 89% charge, which is pretty good. It's good for 89%, which converts to 360 kilometer range, which is fantastic. One of the things I'll show you is this is how you adjust your air. Really cool. You just tap this, you've got climate control on both sides, and you can change the temperature to whatever you like. Over here you can control where the air comes out, up and down on both sides, which is really funky. So yeah, it's actually got some fantastic technology on. So I really like the car itself. I love the technology. My issue is charging is a pain in the ass if you're traveling around. If you're just commuting from home and you got your own home charger, easy. But when you go on a road trip and you got to search for charging, it's just a pain in the ass. It's very foggy in the Adelaide Hills this morning. It absolutely poured down with rain last night. Here's another problem with this Tesla. It doesn't have a proximity key, so if I go to unlock it, nothing happens. I have to actually go to the car and unlock the car, then I come back and it'll unlock. What a pain. Alrighty, this is day 3. We're taking the car back to the airport. A couple of things I've just noticed. As you get in the car, automatically it's on auto, the seat. The passenger side, there's no one there yet, so it's off. The seat warmer has just come on straight away, and already feel it warming the seat, which is lovely. 360 kilometers of range, which is good. We have to leave here at 10 o'clock to be back at the airport by 10:30, so we've got time. Breakfast is booked for 9:30, so happy days. Adelaide Airport. Navigation system's very quick, really responsive. So the drive down this morning is only going to take us 29 minutes. It's 22 kilometers. We have 360 kilometers of range, so plenty of juice in the battery, so all good. You can hear the heating running into the car, so it's clearly fans are blowing. It's going nuts. Seats warming up, it's all very good. Just lock it again.
Yeah.
So we're now in Adelaide City, CBD, downtown, and I've had an option come up on the GPS to go to a fast charger. It just popped up as a number, so I put yes, and now the car is automatically preconditioning the battery ready to take on the supercharger, which I think is really cool. And it's now navigating me to that supercharger. We'd be there in, I think, about 500 meters now, 2 minutes away. So we're going to see what a supercharger actually looks like. One weird thing happened this morning. The regen braking stopped completely. It was just a shame because we were driving down the Adelaide Hills down into the city, and it was very, very steep, and I had to keep applying the brake because the car just wasn't slowing up. All of a sudden it started working again, so that's a little bit of a weird glitch. But I'm interested to see what the supercharger looks like. Interesting, you have to pay for the supercharger. It's not included in your hire car, so it comes up and tells you the rate. I have no idea how you actually pay for it, whether you use your credit card or whether it goes to Hertz and they bill you. I don't know, but we'll find that out. Okay, so we've just arrived at the Tesla supercharger. Look over there, there's a Mercedes being charged as well. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 chargers all up here, which is very impressive. I'm now going to put the supercharger in for a minute to see what it does. Alright, let's pop the charger button and go and see what happens. Alright, so here we go. Supercharger. Jeez, it's a heavy cable. Bloody heavy cable. Get that in. Doesn't fit. So I need this one. Oh, okay. That's a different one. Now what happens? So it's plugged in and it's flashing green, so it is supercharging, which is awesome. There's 2 different cables there. I have no idea what the other one is, but it doesn't fit this car. But this one's got 2 charging ports, top and bottom. So it is definitely charging. So let's just go and have a look what it's doing in the car. Is it charging fast?
No, I'm not charged.
Nothing's happening.
Nothing. Set to 80%.
Maybe I can't charge anymore. Charging complete, maybe because it's got too much
Too
power.
much power.
It must only charge to 80%.
Yeah.
Alright, well we know what it does anyway. Alright, so we're back. I put it in, didn't work because the car's charged above 80%. It's actually sitting at 84%, so it won't charge any higher than that. Weird. Anyhow, I think it's time to go back to Hertz and drop the car off. So after having a Hertz Model 3 electric car for 3 days, what did we learn? Well, generally the car was very impressive. I thought it was very well built. It was very comfortable. The ride is very impressive. The acceleration is awesome. So that side of it is great. There are a number of annoying things about the car, like the way you open the boot when the car's locked. You can't use the proximity key. There's no remote. I assume that if you actually own a Tesla that there's an app you can use which would fix that problem, but when you hire one you don't get that. The other thing is the charging is a challenge. I'm not really sure about the supercharger only charging to 80%. I don't know whether that's normal. I've got to talk to some friends of mine who own a Tesla to see if that's true or not. But just generally, driving was great. The big challenge is when you're driving around and you need to find some juice, it's hard. There's not a great infrastructure in Australia yet, so I wouldn't be rushing out to buy one just yet, but certainly I think my next car will be electric, but probably not for a few years until the infrastructure is much better.